That's a pretty good question. When does a dream come to be outside of a dream, or when a dream is actually inside a dream? And when they say outside of a dream, they're not talking about the fact of the dream coming out of itself or out of your mind or anything like that. The book of En Resistance is a French book, and it's often why when I show those really old maps of things, they're not hand drawn, they're actually done through a computer. But the interesting part of it is as the old maps are looked at and whatnot, some of them can be really, really hard to say, oh, this is over here, this is over there, because they're done technically, some of them in less than 1,000 miles, which 1,000 miles can be a lot or a little, depending on how you look at it. But anyway, let's get down to it. Someone said they had a really scary dream. They claimed to be awake at this point and that they heard children laughing outside. They immediately went to the front door to go lock the front door. It just so happened to be in the same home, or the leader's home, the building I was in, and I just so happened to live with them. And the front door was locked before I went to sleep, so unless you went down and unlocked it. Now, there are two people here who have unlocked doors before in their sleep, as well as sleptwalk. Now, let's get back a little bit more into a few other questions that popped up, which happened in Scranton, Pennsylvania, happened in Danville, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It technically tried to make its way outside of Harrisburg, but had a problem with getting closer to Pittsburgh than they thought they would. Williamsport was, in some senses, in 1980 to 1987, a huge problem between Williamsport Trout Run and Mansfield. The explanation for this was that something came out of nowhere. Some said it came out of New York City. Others said it came out of nowhere. The other one said it came out of Rochester. That this is where people get themselves in trouble. Is not to sit there and tell people that all of a sudden a big group of Satanism people are coming into town. And the reason I say that because that is technically an invite. When you say that people who believe in Satanism seem to be traveling through or past or this area, you have to make it a little bit more of a direct statement, not an assumption of an invite. Anyway, ever since then of 1986 to present day, this town's been suffering with the fact of religious beliefs to occults to mass murder, and it has a really good way of covering stuff up because it's not an official government. Neither is it a government. It's where the government up and moved out in 1980. They had enough of this crap and decided to go back to Europe or France or Spain. There was another one that had another. I don't want to put up with any more of this. Where certain people were kept out from leaving the United States and whatnot for one particular reason, and that was making movies. Disney was held up. A few other video companies, ACC was held up, and ASI was the more like the original name. They went up to Canada, couldn't get any relief in Canada. California couldn't leave, etc., etc., etc. And the reason for this is because you don't sit there and start trouble and then decide, I'm going to walk out of this country and leave a bunch of people who have relatively done nothing but lived life of their own and with other people. And then decide to, I'm going to go over there and start trouble in Europe. With all that said and everything, possession became something of a rather large amusement to them. And when you get down to the Chinese version of Ghost and L and all that, that's where all these movies end up hitting a brick wall. With that being said, a producer had come to me in secret about, we have a problem. We have a huge problem. We got people using stuff that they should not be using. And I was roughly, I think at that point, about 10 years old, maybe even, I was a little bit more towards 6, 7 years old. So it might have been a little earlier than 86, but he was like, I know who you are and I know what you're capable of. And I was like, what I'm capable of is none of your business, and I'm not going to be using anything what I'm capable of through the last past few bad experiences. I said, what I'm capable of is nothing short of telling people how to get rid of people who like to use religion, occult, Satanism, paganism, dark Creole magic, Creole voodoo, etc., etc. It's a long list. With that being said, it just so happens that a lot of people don't listen, they want to do it their way, etc., etc. He noticed that and decided that he was going to up and take his money. He knew it was a little bit too much and whatnot, and ended up getting himself killed. So, his last invite to California did him in, so at least that's what they're saying at this point. This could be just witness protection, which there is none. It's either deportation or you're being surrounded by military every day, which is not witness protection. For the rest of the people that were having problems, roughly in and around 80,000 to 40,000 people, they kind of said, too bad. It's too many. It's a lot of people who lied and took advantage of certain services back then that they're trying to make you pay for now. So with all that said, I think you kind of get where all this is going. I'll make another video.